Okay, so as many of you know, a lot of what you hear these days from Democrats like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton is a lot of rhetoric constantly criticizing and blaming big corporations for greedily destroying American jobs. Actually, this kind of rhetoric that the Democrats are constantly spewing is the real thing destroying American success, and it's all a big lie told by politicians trying to score a political point by creating a victim culture which they know will get them votes, even if they aren't telling the truth. These politicians try to make corporations into a dirty word, and they try to divide America into classes, although they don't really define what the criteria is for being, say, in the middle class. Sadly, this kind of talk largely goes unchallenged by the so-called conservatives in the Republican Party. There's this false idea being perpetrated that the corporations and the CEOs are greedy and stepping on the little guy, the average American worker. This assertion is easily accepted by many in America because it is an easy answer when they are looking for something to explain why they don't have the same wealth as others, or if they are struggling financially. They don't want to fess up and say that maybe if they had just made better, more responsible choices that they wouldn't be in the predicament that they are in. Democrats know that people don't want to admit that irresponsibility, laziness, and dependency may be the main reason for why people do not succeed. They also know how hard it is for people to admit that they are complicit in their own struggles. This is human nature. Nobody ever wants to admit that, and it won't change. That's why there are so many people that have been brainwashed into hate for the corporations and hate of the rich. Blaming others gives them an excuse to fail so they can tell themselves that it's not their fault, it is oppression. They think, so what if I was lazy or dropped out of high school, cheated on tests, didn't try hard in school, didn't work hard, didn't care about having a child too young, bought a home I couldn't afford, didn't stay away from drugs, didn't save for a rainy day, didn't care about wasting money, procrastinated, got into legal trouble. They think it's still the corporations who are ruining my life, they say. Then they look at all these Democratic presidential candidates all giving them vindication for these thoughts. If only we could tax the rich and the corporations more, things would be more fair and my life would be better, they think. Or they say if only we would regulate the corporations more, things like the housing and credit problems wouldn't be hurting me and my job wouldn't have been shipped overseas. So here's what you need to know about the truth in regards to corporations. Number one, corporations don't pay taxes. They just pass the extra cost of the tax on to the American consumer. If the government raises taxes on corporations, the corporation then either hires less people because they have less money and expand business slower, or they just raise prices. This, of course, means less jobs and higher prices for the poor. Number two, America has one of the highest corporate tax rates in the industrialized world, second only to Switzerland. Other countries in Europe and all around the world understand that for their economies to succeed, they need healthy, competitive corporations. America doesn't seem to understand this these days, and their companies are becoming less and less competitive with European and other foreign companies. This is a major factor why companies leave America and do business overseas. The tax structure is simply prohibitive to their success. Number three, free trade creates more jobs than it sends overseas, and it lowers the prices on goods and services. This is a fact. Free trade is one of the factors that is keeping America competitive. We import things cheaper than we could produce them here, and we export things to people who would pay more than people would pay here. Free trade gives us lower prices and a whole new global market to sell to, and more jobs, not less jobs. This is a fact. Historically, the more our policies have embraced free trade, the more unemployment has declined. Number four, government created the mortgage and credit mess, not the private sector. In fact, not only is leftist government policy responsible for creating the credit and mortgage mess, they then try to act like the saviors of the American people to save them from the quote-unquote predatory lenders. The truth is that for a long time, the government subsidized companies who lended to credit risk loan borrowers. They then pressured companies to give loans to those who couldn't afford what they were borrowing. The government lent money so cheaply through low interest rates to banks all throughout the 1990s that it created a classic bubble. The same people that are now blaming the free market and the government for underregulation created the housing and credit problems. They are the ones who created it. So if the Republicans are interested in winning over the middle class vote, they need to give them a vision of the future where their lives will be improved. They need to show the path to prosperity for all Americans in a tangible way and show how the Democrats' ideas are wrong and destructive. Here's the hard truth. Middle Americans will always need something to blame for their challenges. And right now they are blaming corporations. Help them to blame the real culprits, the socialists. Only then will you energize the middle class to stop voting for leftists. Tell them things like if you are upset that you lost your jobs or that you can't afford things anymore because your money doesn't go as far, blame the left wing for driving jobs away and driving up prices with their outdated, failed protectionist policies. This principle is not being communicated by the conservatives. And if they continue to not communicate and explain things, then the Democrats will continue to mischaracterize their position, and the middle class will continue to think that the Republicans don't care about their problems and challenges. Wake up, conservatives.